Hi everyone, my name is Maxine Kwok and I'm a member of the first violins in the London Symphony Orchestra. So we haven't had a live chat for a while and I'm very excited to hopefully in any moment be joined by Antoine Tamestit. So I'm going to wait for him to hopefully asked to join, otherwise I will invite him in. I haven't done this for a while, so great to see so many of you joining us today. The orchestra just got back very late last night from Antwerp, so hence the it all looks a bit of a mess. And I think Antoine has just come back from Vienna, so I see a request here, so we're going to welcome to the LSO live chat room any second. Let's hope it all works out. But thank you so much for joining us so far. Brilliant. It has worked.
Hello, Maxine.
Hello, so nice to see you, Antoine. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited. For those who don't know, Antoine is starting his artist portrait series with the LSO very shortly, so I'm very excited to ask you some questions about what's coming up and what you're looking forward to. Have you just been in Vienna?
Yes, I was just in Vienna it was very nice, the opening of the season at the famous Musikverein, beautiful golden hall. And so I played already the Martinu, which is the first piece I am going to play with the London Symphony Orchestra next week.
That's right. It's quite a new piece for a lot of us. It wasn't a piece I know particularly well. How come that was something? Did you decide to program that? How did it come about?
You know, the Martinu Rhapsody Concerto is very often practiced by students viola students. It's a very famous piece in all conservatories in the world. I had come across it. I had practiced maybe the first movement as a student, but I didn't hear it so much performed. And when I was asked by the Czech Philharmonic to perform Martinu, which for them was a kind of obligatory piece, I looked at it again and I discovered such a beautiful work, very nicely written. The structure is wonderful because it's obviously free with the Rhapsody title, and it's very inventive. It has a lot of folk elements, but you can see that the composer Martinu was in exile and got inspired by other music, and in this case by jazz, and the snare drums appears at the end in a very jazzy section, and I fell in love with the piece right away, and I've tried to program it a lot since then.
Okay, so it's something that you've known for a long time, because I can admit to you that we had a little run through without viola a few days ago. I can't even remember where we were now. We've just done 8 concerts in 8 days in Europe. We were in Dortmund. We had a little run through without
Nice.
the solo part, and I know the drum bit you mean, and there's, yes, it's very rhapsodic, and I'm really looking forward to.
You all love the syncopations, the many syncopations.
Yes. Yeah, we were sort of like, oh, okay, because usually perhaps, rightly or wrongly, in an orchestra you wouldn't necessarily think of playing through the tutti part without the solo, and mostly if you program the Walton and things like that, which you are playing with us, it will be familiar to the orchestra. But this was we were like, oh, and all the viola section was saying, yes, we all know this piece, and it's not played, it's really not played very often. So.
Yeah, pity. It's a beautiful orchestra part, so lyrical and very well written for the strings. But one has to get used to Martinu's style, which is full of syncopations. You're never really falling on the beat. It's never really grounded, but that creates such a long line. And I love that. And I love that the Czech, so when I played it with Czech orchestras, they are used to that language, and so they don't force the syncopations. They are just used to making a long singing line, and that's it's a beautiful way to have the whole orchestra mix, I find.
Okay, we're going to do our best.
It's one.
We will try. Is it a piece that you think Simon was aware of before? How did the piece come to be? Was it that you were very passionate to program it? Was Simon aware of the piece already?
You know, it's very funny you ask that, because there was a defining moment, I think. It was just before the pandemic started. So really at the very beginning of March 2020, maybe the 3rd of March. And to say the truth, we all had no idea what was coming. And it was full of social meetings, and I met actually Sir Simon for the first time, really face to face, on that 3rd of March, because I was playing with Robin Ticciati, who I'm also performing with the LSO during the residency. And I was playing with Robin Ticciati a wonderful program about exile composers, and we had programmed both the Bartók and the Martinu in the same evening, which was crazy, by the way. But a beautiful program that made so much sense. And we could see similarities between both pieces. And I remember going into Robin's dressing room at the Berlin Philharmonie the day of the concert, the morning of the concert. And I like to kind of connect with the conductor before the rehearsal, so that there is also a human connection, and Robin is a great friend. So I went to just say hello, and I fell in front of Robin and Sir Simon, and so that was a big surprise. Sir Simon talked about my relationship with the LSO, which is very nice, and he knows I'm very luckily and honored to be part of the family. So that's something we really both felt, and I agreed with him. And then we didn't say much. It was just chit chat, and I know that Simon came to the dress rehearsal, but just a short part of it, and basically he only heard the Martinu.
Oh.
Thing I know, this residency was cancelled first because it was in the spring of 2020, and the Martinu was not in. And now when it was reprogrammed, we needed to change a few things because, well, that's the way you reprogram stuff. And one of the things that changed is that Simon was to conduct one of the concerts, and the piece he chose, I didn't say anything, he chose the Martinu. So I am guessing there is a link there, but...
Definitely. I'm sure yes, I think he would have definitely, having heard it played, thought to himself, we must have this as part of this artist portrait. And as you mentioned, obviously this was meant to happen in 2020, that you were to come and perform with us, and obviously, but here we are, and it's, we're very much looking forward to it. Now you're playing a lot in the next few weeks. I think I counted maybe 5 full concerts in London and in Bath, and also a whole series of chamber music Radio 3 lunchtime concerts.
A lot of, I didn't count yet, but yes, we have 2 Martinus, one in London, one in Bath. We have 2 Waltons, one in St. Luke's and one at the Barbican.
Yeah.
But we also have 4 Walton on tour, hopefully, in Switzerland.
Yes.
We are now always saying hopefully before we travel.
Yes.
So that's how I
take anything for granted.
Exactly. We have a Wittmann viola concerto, which will be a great event.
Absolutely.
At tour. And there are 4 chamber music concerts at St. Luke's. And just to say, this was supposed to be spread over 3 months back in 2020. And now the idea also in terms of carbon footprint and efficiency and making the worth of every situation, and also really make a meaning of this word residency, in residence, artist in residence. The LSO asked me to put everything over a month, and that is crazy and that is a lot, but in a way which, and I'm just hoping that I will be able to cope with everything, but I think it's beautiful for the audience to get to know the viola in every shape or form or repertoire or style possible. And I don't think there is anything we will not cover in that month.
That's very, very true. It is wonderful to have an artist come for, rather than just dropping in very, very shortly and then leaving to actually form this sort of relationship as such, and for us to see you in the concert hall and in the space of St. Luke's, doing from very small chamber music to huge works with us. Now, I think you made your debut with us maybe about 10 years ago, I think 2012. Do you remember anything about that?
But I do remember very well that debut because it was directly with the Walton Concerto. So for me, it was both an honor and a great pressure, because that was sort of a dream to put together the Walton and the LSO. And so I felt, wow, I cannot miss that one. And it was beautiful. And I was very inspired by the orchestra and the sound of the orchestra, and the fact that, as you said before, most of the players were not looking at their music stands, at the parts. They knew the piece almost by memory, and they were able to communicate. And I felt more than ever that the piece was in their blood, and so that helped me a lot. And it was a great moment for me, and to meet the conductor, who was already at the time Sir Antonio Papa.
Conducted. Yes, that's right. And of course, he's our incoming conductor. So it's a very fortuitous occasion. Of course, the orchestra is steeped in British history. We grow up with playing Walton, and so I'm glad it was a great, comfortable experience for you, and to work with Papano already at that time. And we're very, very excited to be joining us in, I think, September 2024. He will officially become our chief conductor. I just want to say hello. There's so many people tuning in from all over the world. New York, South Africa, Indonesia, all sorts of places. So thank you so much for joining. It's just wonderful to be able to talk to Antoine about this forthcoming artist portrait with the LSO, which is basically a whole month of concerts with concertos, chamber music, and, as you mentioned briefly, the Widman viola concerto. Can you tell us a bit about that? I think you're friends. He's someone you...
Yes, very. And I will tell you a lot about it, but I will also leave some surprises, because we should really inspire people to come and see it live, because it's really an experience, this viola concerto. The relationship with Jörg started, as you say, as friends. We met playing Mozart clarinet quintet, I think, in Germany. That was back in 2007, so a long time ago. And the connection between us was kind of, love at first sight musically. We connected right away, and there were so many things that we felt exactly the same way, without talking, without saying any words, and just looking at each other, breathing, a small face expression, a gesture in the body, something, and we felt so much the same. And from that came directly the wish to play chamber music together. But in the same time, I received a big a scholarship, a grant from the Credit Suisse, a famous prize called the Credit Suisse Young Artist Award, where you get to play with the Vienna Philharmonic, and that was a wonderful debut with Riccardo Muti, but you also get a great amount of money to spend in an artistic project. And my project became to commission basically my first concerto, the first commission that I would do. And I contacted Jörg right away because I loved his music also. I felt I understood his compositions almost as well as I understood him as a musician. And he said yes, but he said not now. He said it will have to wait a bit. And we had to wait until 2015.
Oh gosh.
Because he had too many commissions until then. But in the meantime, so in those 7 years, we did play a lot together. We played so many programs, and mostly piano trio, which we will perform at St. Luke's on, I think, on the 15th of October. So Mozart, Bruch, whom we love, Max Bruch, beautiful pieces for clarinet, viola, and piano, and Kortag, which is a crazy but fantastic piece for that same trio. And we played a lot of those concerts. And during this chamber music experience, we connected even more and felt that there is so much that we understand the same way. Mozart, Schumann, modern music, theatrical effect, drama, expression, emotions, how you feel things, how you express things, how you react. And somehow that gave us a lot of food for thought for the commission. And we met on a few occasions, and Jörg asked me to play certain things, certain effects, technical things, certain notes even, or certain strings of the viola, just to hear. And he wrote sketches down. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that many of those sketches ended up in the concerto itself. And so in a way, in a small way, I was part of the composition process. We shared a lot during the composition. Mm-hmm. He told me every day, it was very funny. We did not have Instagram live or video conference. We would put, the mobile phone on the desk with speaker on, and he would do the same. And he was playing at the piano, and I was playing on the viola. And, he would cut me, no, not that way, you're more that way and more that note. And, no, can you play it more like that? So it was a crazy way to work.
Yes.
But it did a lot. I was really part of basically every page that he composed. I saw coming to life, and we discussed every note. And so the concerto itself is a big surprise, is very original. It's the story of the journey of a viola player through the music world, through the music scene, through an imaginary world itself. We think that we are sometimes in Asia, sometimes in Spain, sometimes in Yiddish cultures, sometimes in Bach, sometimes in Strauss or Schumann. We are traveling through the world of music or a world of imaginative countries, and the viola player is going through experiences and maybe even questions to who is he as a viola player in the musical scene? Are you a soloist, or are you a duo player? Are you playing chamber music rather, or do you more like to play with brass or with strings, or do you find your center, or are you an actor actually in music, or are you simply just a musician, part of a community, and you always make music with someone?
Yes.
And maybe sometimes when there is no one else, just with the audience, you do make music with them, you communicate. And this whole journey is represented in the piece.
Gosh, I can't wait to discover this piece. it sounds quite epic, and you are right. It's the 15th of October. You are performing chamber music with Jörg Wiedmann.
And
So
the
that
5th of October is the viola concerto.
no, that's the lunchtime. I think that's the lunchtime
No,
concert.
sorry, the viola concerto is which day? The 31st
Oh,
of
I have to hang on. Let me just check my notes.
last
The
Sunday.
Barbican is the 31st of October. The Vidman is at the Barbican, and I will tell people when they can actually, because those concerts are going to be streamed as well. So I will mention that at the
It,
end. But it does sound like he's your musical
one
soul.
needs to see and hear at the same time.
Oh yes, absolutely. So are you must be very passionate about, obviously with viola repertoire. I mean, being a violinist, there's plenty, absolutely lots of music to enjoy. Are you passionate about expanding the repertoire? Is this something that is really important to you?
Very much so. I think for two main reasons. You know, I grew up with a father who is a composer, so he inspired me very much in the way that he was experimenting with music, with sounds, with very modern ways to express music. And from an early age, I heard his compositions. I heard the compositions that he was listening to, like Stockhausen or Berio or Nono or these composers. But you know, in a child's mind, you can't really define if it's a style, if it's a period of composition. I just heard music. I just heard different ways to express things. And I remember also my mother, who is not a musician, listened to a lot of music, and we would listen at home on Wednesdays or Sundays. We would listen to all kinds of music, French chansons like Brel or Barbara, but also romantic music. I remember Mahler first, of course, because of the slow movement, Ravel's Bolero, or we also heard Pergolesi's Stabat Mater, and then in between there was a Berio folk song and or Stockhausen piece, and it was just all music for me, different ways, and some pieces made me laugh, I must say, but in a great way. I thought, wow, it's fantastic that music can make you laugh and can surprise you. Um, so I loved Berio for that without knowing who he was and what kind of music he wrote or how the score looked. I've never been afraid to look at new music or newly written music. And I've always loved, I think, the relationship with composers, uh, maybe because of how my father inspired me. And I love being challenged. I love pushing the limits. And then the second reason I would say is that I love so much the viola that any piece that makes people discover the viola or rediscover it or listen to it in a different way, or any piece that makes them think, oh, I had no idea viola could sound like that or like this, um, I'm interested to play. Um, and so that's why, but for me, there is no conscious decision of being a defender of modern music. It's just, I'm a defender of the viola, for sure.
An ambassador for the viola, a
Yes,
great.
I love to play the viola, and I love that sound, and I love that people fall in love with the instrument itself.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. And I mean, it sounds like the Vidman is a complete collaboration between the two of you. You bringing, your knowledge, your great knowledge of the instrument. And I'm so excited to hear. And Daniel Harding will be conducting, someone you've worked with.
And yet, and someone who conducted that particular piece many times, I think we've done it 10 or 15 times together. So
Hey,
a relationship there from the very beginning.
yes. Oh, gosh, that's going. We're very much looking forward to seeing Daniel again as well
Yeah.
because we missed. our opportunity again. So many opportunities that didn't happen, unfortunately, last year, but we are very grateful that music is moving forward. You're probably bored of being asked it, but how did you manage your time and your sort of musical energy when concerts were not able to happen?
No, I'm not bored to answer that question because I think it's still a very important one, and that whole crisis made us think a lot about who we are and what we do. And I was not the only one to think like this, to rethink life and music in that new way. I suffered, I must say, I suffered a lot from the lack of live music, live audience sharing this. And I'm not even talking about the applause or the reaction of the audience at the end, but the reaction in the moment, something that you cannot really describe.
Yeah.
The abstract, maybe even is it spiritual, that connection between the audience, the listener, and the player, that space between us, that in the air, the energy which is in the air between the two. I missed that, and I realized how much I needed that, and how much I was. I basically, that's why I'm a musician. That's why I'm an artist. I want that connection, and I missed traveling. I missed meeting my friends from different orchestras, different countries. I realized that I was very much used to that. And I realized that actually it's part of my personality to be a musician on stage, to be an artist on stage, a big part. And of course, at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were all locked down, I treasured the time with my family, with my wife and two kids, and being at home, something I had never experienced so much in a row, 3 months completely at home. And really, I loved that part, and I realized it is a huge part of my personality. But then I did realize that another part was missing. And I was still lucky to play a few concerts. I played about 1 or 2 concerts a month for about a year. But there was some months without concerts, and that was very difficult, I find. And but it helped me to build up a new energy, and to know that this is definitely what I want to do. And now I'm coming to London for months, and it of course scares me to have maybe 12, 13 concerts in a month. But I can't wait. I'm so happy. It inspires me. It makes me happy to look forward to that. But all of that, the music making, the sharing, feeling the audience, feeling the colleagues, how they play music, how they react, all these interactions I've missed, and I look forward to seeing and feeling again.
Oh, that's really lovely. I know exactly what you mean with, yes, it's not about an audience like, bravo. Then there's an element of the listening, the charged silence almost that, you might be playing away alone, but the air feels different. There is no electricity of feeling that people are open to your, music making. So I know I know exactly what you mean, and missing actually the collaboration of music making, because I expect you played most days, practiced at home, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe you're busy teaching teaching your kids. But I certainly know that, even though I played most days as a kind of routine just to keep myself going, but I missed very much making music with other people. I think that is a huge part of it.
Yes,
Did,
definitely.
Did you practice every day?
Yes, mostly because I felt that was also very interesting. I felt that I needed that. I needed to touch my viola, listen to my viola, try things out. I realized that I was not bored practicing, just practicing, and even practicing technical things or staying in shape, or practicing for pleasure, playing Bach for pleasure. So I realized that, but um, I felt that it's not an end. This is not the end of music. It's not made just for a room
Yes.
without listeners, and it's you need that part to focus on an art alone and really express yourself, learn to express yourself. But then there is a moment that needs to be shared, and maybe it's a equally important part of art.
Absolutely. I think it perhaps gave all of us a real greater appreciation, actually, perhaps of what we do and how important it is for us to actually share what we do, because so much of it is spent alone, craft, practicing your skill, getting to a point where you are able to play in front of other people. But that part is just so important. Now you mentioned that you wanted to play every day. Tell us something about your instrument. I think you play on a Stradivarius viola.
It's a beautiful. It's right here.
Oh,
Um, I play. I'm very lucky to play the first viola that Stradivarius built, and he didn't build so many. We think that he might have built a maximum of 15, 20, and 12, about 12 survived. So we know about 12 today. So maybe he just built 12 actually. And this is the first one built in 1672.
okay.
So next year we will celebrate 350 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It looks pretty good and it's in pretty good shape. It looks pretty new,
Yeah.
and I've loved it so much for 13 years already. So I
Okay.
had when I played my debut with the LSO. It's a viola that evolved a lot. It has very special things like a back made of poplar wood, not maple wood.
Okay.
And so that's very special because maple is much more common for violin and violas. Um, it has this, I don't know if one can see on Instagram, but a kind of gold amber honey
Yeah.
varnish color.
Yeah.
Uh, very special also. And I think why I talk about this varnish color, because I think that's a very good way to describe also the sound that it has. It has a uh, very much of a honey sound, so very warm and sweet, but at the same time quite golden, quite brilliant.
Okay.
So I love to make the parallel between the color of the varnish and the color of the sound. It's a very singing instrument. It loves to sing as if every note is made for singing. But it surprised me from the very beginning, and I hope it will surprise the audience. In modern repertoire, it works incredibly, and it has so many overtones that harmonics come out and beautiful colors, and people are usually very surprised by the colors of that instrument. Um, and of course, I will play some solo Bach at St. Luke's, I think on the 15th of October evening, and it works perfectly as if it's going back home when I play solo Bach with a Baroque bow. And I sometimes also put gut strings on it, and the viola loves it and feels very good. Maybe the lower tension makes it sound even better. Um, and so it's a beautiful instrument that I've been lucky to play thanks to a foundation in Switzerland. And I say that not only to thank them or to make publicity, but because those instruments are becoming completely out of reach for musicians. They have a price, or people speculate on the price in a way that is totally foreign to musicians who can't afford that. But if you have a foundation whose main purpose, and actually only purpose, because they've decided, it's written, they cannot sell the instrument, its only purpose is to make the instrument be played by someone, and that the instrument develops well and has a future and lasts.
Yes.
And I think that's a much more beautiful way to look at this, of course, piece of art. It's a work of art, but it's a cultural heritage, and it's an object, an art object that needs to sound also to develop its qualities. And so when this foundation has this purpose, I think it's really the best one to have.
That's so interesting. You talk about that. I was very fortunate to go to the premiere of Falling for Stradivari. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it was very, very interesting. Briefly, for those who don't know, Janine Jansen takes 12 strads and matches them with 12 pieces of music that she feels. So we have the Chrysler Strad, and she's playing some Chrysler that he composed the music on. So very historical and very interesting to hear different violins from the same instrument. But it was discussed about, you know, these are art history objects that we want future generations to appreciate and to see. So it's weighing up how much you play on them and how good a care you take and things, because of course there's not much joy to see you know, just the instrument as you look at it. You know, they are designed to be shared for their beautiful sound. I remember, I think the last time you came in was 2 years ago with Harold in Italy. And I suppose for many of us, we think of a viola as having a much, I don't know, maybe as a violinist, you grow up thinking, oh, a viola won't sound so powerful because you don't have the such the high registers. But my goodness, the bloom on the sound was so warm, and do you feel it as an extension of your own kind of self?
Yes, for sure. And I, of course, I tried to keep a distance from it and to understand that it's not mine, and it's that my music is also here and I make it with my hands. But somehow I became completely linked to that voice, and I feel now this instrument is a part of me, and it's a part of what I'm trying to express, and the imaginary voice that I have in my head, the music that I have in my head. Now it's completely related, and I couldn't imagine another instrument. And I love that the instrument is still developing, also after 350 years, depending on the repertoire I play, and that's why I love to play many different pieces, and how it also goes through a process in life as if it is alive, that, you know, it reacts. And I think I was very happy to play Berlioz with the LSO back then, 2 years ago, and the conductor Gianandrea Noceda is such a generous musician. There was such a communication between all of us, and I think the viola felt it, and it was a very good setting, both in Ireland and in London.
Yes, we went to Dublin. Yes, we did. We went to Dublin. I remember.
I really remember great joy out of these two concerts.
I have a wonderful photo that was taken at your previous visit, which was when you played the Bartok. So this would have probably been 2017, and you played a wonderful encore duo with our concert
With
master.
Roman.
pitch. Yes, and there's a wonderful picture which must have been taken by the house photographer, and you have your arms around each other, and in the first violins we were just so amazed. It's always wonderful to hear a real sort of, you know, mix, a collaboration, and just after hearing you play with the orchestra to just take it back. But that was just like staggering. I think you can watch that on YouTube, by the way, if anybody is looking for it. You can search.
It's a great memory.
And I think you will have a world premiere in one of the St. Luke's lunchtime concerts by Bethan Morgan Williams, who was part of our Panufnik composing schemes. Is that concert with Colin Curry, the percussionist?
Yes,
that sounds interesting.
A premiere of a new piece written for the both of us, so for percussion and viola, which is not a very common combination, and we can't wait. We actually took this opportunity of the LSO residency to finally do something together. We wanted to do something together for a long time, and finally it's happening now, and I think it cannot be better but to have, for this kind of new encounter between two musicians, to also have a new piece. So we are very much looking forward. I must say, I'm practicing every day. Not easy to discover a new piece, a new language. Bethan Morgan Williams is a young composer. She has new ideas, very original things. The piece is dedicated and written about her dog. It's about
Okay.
a dog, and it's very serious. It's very emotional. It seems very intense, with so many personalities, actually, many shapes of maybe who that dog is, and it's really, it seems so interesting, and so interesting how she combined basically melodic instrument and a rhythmical one.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to that, particularly to see that combination. I know it works because, for example, we will be playing a piece by Luciano Berio called Naturale for percussion and viola, and I know that's a masterpiece. That's a great piece. Works very well, and the sounds that come out just mix wonderfully. And so all of this will be on the, I think, 8th of October, but it's very exciting. It feels, you know, you always project yourself, and I'm projecting myself now to meet Simon Rattle on stage for the first time, because we haven't shared the stage together. But to be on stage with Colin Curry, to be on stage with a percussion player, to be on stage for a new piece of music, that's very special. So I'm kind of projecting myself, and I can't imagine everything that will happen, but I'm very excited somehow.
Yes, I'm not so that there's an absolute wealth of music and other artists that you're going to be sharing this month with. For anyone who wants to know, if you go to the LSO's website, there is a dedicated page which is called Antoine Tamestit Artist Portrait. So if you go to that page, it'll be quite obvious if you go to the LSO website. It lists all the concerts that Antoine is performing with us, whether it's with the orchestra or if it's in a smaller chamber music form. There's been so much love.
Look at that page myself. I will not look at that page myself so that I get too scared, but I think the audience should look at
It's quite an extensive. You sort of scroll down and go, gosh, so many, so much repertoire, so many performers. It's very impressive. I mean, we're very, very grateful that you can give up that amount of time and share so much of your different loves of music. You know, from favorites. You know, here the Walton, which is beloved by all Brits, to music which is unknown to us as well, and we're very, very much looking forward to it. I will just, we have about 10 minutes, so if anyone has a specific question to ask, there's been so much viola love coming through the comments, it's wonderful. I will sort of just remind you that Antoine is about to start the artist portrait series with the LSO. We're very, very fortunate. Some of the concerts, if you can't come to London, will be streamed. So the 14th of October, we have Walton Viola Concerto at St. Luke's, and that will be streamed on Vialma from the 4th of November. So from the 4th, you can catch it there. The 31st of October is the Vidman at the Barbican, and that will go on Marquee TV from the 18th of November. And that Vidman will also go out on BBC Radio 3 on the 4th of November. But all that information you can find on the LSO's website. Obviously, we'd love to see you in person if you can be there. And LSO St. Luke's is such a wonderful venue for chamber music because it all feels very intimate and very, you can be up close and personal to the musicians. It's, we really hope people can come and see. I should just check whether you wanted to play anything for us since you're holding your viola so diligently.
No. I will wait for the concerts.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. Nobody really likes to have to play something.
Very. You don't even realize that you're holding the instrument. It's just there. But I'm really looking forward to those concerts. I can't tell you how happy I am that I will be present, that I'm able to travel, that we are able to meet, we are able to be in the same room, we are able to do concerts with a big setting like the Walton, I think, or the Vidman is a big setting. But I'm also very happy to do small, intimate concerts at St. Luke's, even to the point of solo recital with an evening of Bach. It's very special to be close up with the audience. And this music, when you're really playing just alone, it's very intimate. It's very much just about who you are and what is this music, and it's really personal, I find. And so I can't wait for that. I can't wait to meet my friends, Colin Curry, Jörg Widmann, Frank Bralet, who will play the piano, and the young Arod Quartet at the end of October, playing, of course, a Mozart string quintet. It's a must in a residency. You have to play a Mozart quintet because the viola is so well displayed in those works. And I can't tell you how thankful I am. I'm very thankful, but at the same time, I can't wait to see you all and to meet with you and play music together. It's been too long.
Yes, I know. It's hard to imagine. I mean, how lucky are we that this is, touch wood, happening? It's, to think that we could program something like the Walton, a big concerto, full sort of stage, when, maybe a year ago, we were all thinking, everything had to be very small, the orchestra to sit so far apart, so that means you can only fit a certain amount of people on stage. It means repertoire becomes very, very limited. It is a very, we feel very, very fortunate to be able to put on these concerts.
I have one question. Can you tell us about the wonderful thing that will be done for our concert in Bath on the 7th? I think it's going to be broadcasted in very special places.
That's right. We have a concert in Bath at the Bath Forum on the 7th of October. And that is promoted by the Bristol Beacon. And that concert will be streamed live to care homes around the area. So I think you can just watch that on... I'm not sure. I will check online, but to be honest, it is on the LSO's page. It will tell you where you can watch that, but it will be streamed live for care homes in the area. But if you want to come to the concert, it is on the 7th of October in the Bath Forum. So that is nice.
Wonderful surprise and a wonderful idea, especially after this pandemic, and so many families, including myself, were realizing sometimes how far away we are from care homes, from those people there. And so I think maybe if that's an idea that came out of this pandemic, it's a great idea, and I can't wait to play the Martinu for all of these people live, basically.
Because I think it's so important. Actually, it's something that was very much realized during lockdown, that I certainly saw that, you know, we put out many archive concerts from the orchestra, and I thought, oh, so many of these people will actually physically not be able to get to a concert, whether it's because they're in a care home or they live in a country we're very unlikely to visit. So it's wonderful to actually be able to share music and have such a wide audience. And with the technology being, you know, such it is these days, you know, good sound, you can see, you know, the orchestra or the artists, it's wonderful. And it's something I think even when music comes back to full capacity in concert halls, we certainly at the LSO will continue to stream or live stream as many things as we can to reach, you know, people who will unfortunately probably never get to see, you know, perhaps the LSO but live in a concert, but they can have some kind of experience, and everybody deserves to hear wonderful music. Somebody has asked, you know, what would it be best to go to St. Luke's or the Barbican?
Yes.
Depends what, you know, they're very different venues. If you're going to the Barbican, you know, you're going to have the full orchestra with Antoine on stage, big hall, big concertos. St. Luke's is it's a converted church. If you look it up, it's a beautifully intimate venue. I've played chamber music in there. It's got the most glorious sound. So it really depends what you fancy hearing. Try and come to as many things as you can. That would be, you know, ideal. And you don't want to miss Antoine's wonderful playing. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to just say to encourage young viola players or people to discover the viola?
No, maybe I just tell you about my first feeling, and maybe that's a feeling that many people shared. You know, I was playing the violin like you, Maxine, from 5 years old, and when I was about 9 or 10 years old, somehow I felt I wanted to feel a lower vibration or hear a lower, darker sound. I loved listening to Bach suites played on the cello, and I even tried the cello, but I didn't feel comfortable because I was used to carrying an instrument on my shoulder. And my teacher at the time made me try the viola, or should I rather say, she put viola strings on my violin, on my 3/4 size. So I can tell you, I'm almost sure that this did not sound as great as this Stradivari viola, but that's the moment I fell in love with the instrument, because I think any instrument is different for different people. But that instrument, that C string, the low C string sound resonated and even vibrated through my body. And I felt it. I was 10 years old. I was not experienced. I was not an adult. But I felt it all the way through my feet, to the last toe. That vibration, I felt, wow, that's what I want to feel. And you know, I was not aware of what some people in the music scene think, that the viola doesn't have so much repertoire. I was not aware of the viola jokes. I was aware of this whole reputation, and I just felt, that's my instrument, that's what I want to do. And I I think I really fell deeply in love, and I think it matched my personality. I think I'm deeply a viola player and not anything else. So I just think that if you love it, then you can do anything.
Absolutely. I love that. I think it's wonderful. I actually also used to play the cello. So I know what you mean about getting this, you know, with the deeper sounds, it really resonates through your body. But I sort of thought, well, I'd rather be a first violinist and I can look out. So it's, I suppose sometimes it's a mental and emotional thing as well. Well, I
I
think
come online, and I just want to react to one comment because someone asked if I know the comedy show Two Set Violin, and someone says I love the viola scream concerto, and the two things have something in common. They are both talking about the Widman viola concerto, where I do scream at some point, but I won't tell you where because you have to come and see it for yourself. And Two Set Violin, I just discovered 3 days ago, made a skit or made fun of the theatricals in the Widman concerto, but at the same time they were tempted to see the whole thing, and to they were surprised and they wanted to know more about this concerto. So if you like Two Set Violin, if you want to hear a viola player scream, then come on the 31st of October.
Absolutely. So we're playing the Widman viola concerto on the 31st of October in the Barbican, and that will be conducted by Daniel Harding, and it will go on Marquee TV from the 18th of November. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Max.
Thank you so much, Antoine, for being so generous with your time. We're gonna see each other really soon in real life. So safe trip to London.
Yeah.
You know, good luck for the entire artist's portrait. I'm going to try and be at those St. Luke's concerts if they don't clash with our rehearsals. And you know, we're really looking forward to it. I cannot imagine a better ambassador for their instrument. So we'll see you very soon. And everyone, thank you so much. If you want to know more about the concerts that are coming up or buy tickets, do go to the LSO's website. And if you look up Antoine Tamestit, I hope I've said it right, artist's portrait, you'll find an entire list of everything that's happening. And obviously we will be traveling on tour as well. So take care. See you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that interview, and see you next month. I can't wait.
Soon. Take care now. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you, Max.
Bye.